Well, hello again, everybody. I have the privilege of introducing Mr. Gray. It's an interesting story. When we were meeting in the pre-function lobby, I used to work I started as a hotel as a bellman at 16 at a Westin, and come to find out, the house I grew up in, he lived about 2 streets over, and he was the manager of all the competitor hotels that. So I guess it's a good day that we actually finally come together. Here's Mr. Loren Gray.
Thank you very much. Hi everyone, and I guess I should give with my own warning. I get really excited about this stuff. Oh, I have people that I know in the room too. Katya, thank you for being here. Katya and I have actually spent a few years knowing each other. As we go through this process, I will probably end up talking too fast and probably try to do too many things. First off, there's too many slides. And there's too much to try to talk about, because it's a little bit like trying to explain the universe and giving 2 examples and doing it in 20 minutes. Digital marketing is a critical component to the evolution of what revenue management is now and what its future is in the future, what it is in the future. In what I consider to be the most basic terms of it, if revenue management and digital marketing do not converge into a single entity of operation, both will fail. It's a critical component to the evolution of both sides, the digital marketing and revenue management combined. Now, I shouldn't be the first person that's told you this, nor should I be just another person that tells you, well, let's just talk about how happy and fluffy we should all be by hugging each other and talking to your marketer. The purpose of today is to create a convergence, and not just in the theoretical sense, but in the very practical sense. What data should we share? What methodology should we do? How is it we should combine with practical examples, case studies, and a whole lot of other things that should be used in our discussion point, so that when you do go back, you have a methodology, a path, that says this is how I'm going to broach, if you're not already in collusion with each other, a means of being able to create that dialogue. Before I get that way though, I want you to have a broader perspective of a little bit of the world and how things are transitioning. We're constantly inundated with tremendous amounts of technology updates, innovations, and changes. And every week, something affects our industry. And this was one that actually inspired by our first presentation this week as to China. Now, China may not be high on the radar for Charlotte, it may not be high on the radar for a lot of markets, but it's not so much the market itself as it is what's happening in that market. So I wanted to extract this video real quick, and I'm willing to dedicate about 5 minutes towards it, for you to see a little bit of how the larger scope of technology is going to come into our environment, no matter what market we're in. So this is from the New York Times. It's a great piece, and I just hit the wrong button. Let me go back this way. Here we go. Play. Yeah. Okay, never mind. I have a
Does
back.
anyone else hear music?
I do.
Hold on. I have a
Okay,
back.
so I thought somebody started.
Yeah.
You understand?
It's in your head, Rich. It's
If I
all
say
in your
I say
head.
nothing.
Is that there?
No, it's
Pipe something up.
Oh, there is music.
Hey!
Oh,
Loren!
it's my music. I'm still playing AC/DC. Stop with the AC/DC. See, when you like an artist, it plays. Okay, let's see if we just have it by itself now. Nope. I am still playing music, and I don't know where. I want to stop this because I do want you to see the whole process. Sorry, technology is wonderful when it works, and it is a pain when it doesn't. Okay, let's just quit the whole thing. Yeah. And that should be a process of that. Let's see if this works. I really want to play AC/DC today. There we go. I'm just going to kill the whole thing, and let's just kill this whole thing. Let's see if it listens to me. Yeah, it looks like it listened to me this time. So let's play this again.
If you're sitting in the United States or Europe right now, you've probably never used a Chinese app. But the reality is, if you want to know how the internet will develop, China, the land once known for its cheap ripoffs, has actually become a guide to the future. You know, the internet is the internet, but for China, the internet is more like an intranet. It's largely walled off from the Western world by this incredibly complex system of filters and blocks that we call the Great Firewall. And basically, the Great Firewall blocks any foreign site the Communist Party doesn't think it can control. So that means there is no Facebook, no Twitter, no Google. Instead, what filled the internet vacuum was a generation of Chinese copycats that have grown into huge companies. So for Google, you had Baidu. For YouTube, you had Youku. For Twitter, you had Sina Weibo. The list goes on and on. It's almost as if the Chinese internet is a lagoon that's an aside to the greater ocean of the internet. And in that lagoon, there are these swamp monster apps that bear some resemblance to the creatures in the ocean, but are mutated in some ways because they evolved in a different kind of environment. But things have started to shift in the sense that before, no one outside of the lagoon really cared about the swamp monsters. But now, all of a sudden, some of the features they've developed are so amazing that Western apps are trying to copy them. And the greatest example of this is WeChat. WeChat is an example of, for lack of a better word, a super app. It's a Swiss Army knife that basically does everything for you. It's your WhatsApp, Facebook, Skype, and Uber. It's your Amazon, Instagram, Venmo, and Tinder. But it's other things we don't even have apps for. There are hospitals that have built out whole appointment booking systems. There are investment services. There are even heat maps that show how crowded a place is, be it your favorite shopping mall or a popular tourist site. The list of services goes on basically forever. But it's not the variety of things you can do on WeChat that makes it so powerful. It's the fact that they're all in one app. So why does that matter? Hypothetically, imagine you're sitting at home and one day you notice your corgi is dirty. You open WeChat, hit a few buttons, and a few hours later a man shows up at your door with some shampoo and a big vacuum. Your dog gets cleaned and he looks great. You take a photo, you share it with your friends, and tag the dog cleaning business. You haven't left the app. Your friend who likes Hello Kitty and works a boring office job is slacking off at work and looking at WeChat. She sees the photo of your clean corgi. She decides she wants her poodle clean. She clicks the tag on your photo and orders the same service. Within seconds, the man with the big vacuum is on his way to her house. She pays him, and he's happy because he got paid instantly on WeChat. She starts chatting with you to thank you. Neither of you have left the app. While chatting, she tells you about a new hip noodle joint. She says, you have to come. It's a schlep, but you accept. She orders food while still at her desk. You order a taxi. She pays for the food. On the way to her house, the man with the big vacuum invests the money he earned from both of you into a wealth management product that's probably a little too risky. Neither of you nor the man with the big vacuum have left the app. Both of you arrive and the app tells the kitchen you're there. Your WeChat profile photo pops up on the wall. It's an old photo from the year you had that weird part in your hair. Of course she makes a comment. Your food is served. You notice your meat is a bit overcooked, so you snap a photo and post a disparaging restaurant review. You're already on your phone, and you remember you still owe your friend money because she paid. You transfer her money. Neither of you, the man with the big vacuum, nor the restaurant, have left the app. At the restaurant, there are no menus, there are no waiters, there is no cashier. There is only WeChat. By rolling so many functions into one single app, it's altered the concept of virality. It's no longer just videos or images or tweets that can go viral. It's a dog washer, noodles, all sorts of companies and products that get the push of the social network. Here in China, that network is 700 million people. Sounds great, right? Well, it is, but using a single app to find a date, schedule an oil change, or notarize a document also enables WeChat to collect a staggering volume of personal data. They know what you talk about, who you talk about it with, what you read, where you go, why you're going there, who's there, how you spend money when you're online, how you spend money when you're offline. The list goes on indefinitely. For advertisers, this is a miracle. It's the combined data of Facebook, Amazon, Google, and PayPal, all in one place. The problem is, all of the data is information Chinese companies are forced to share with the Chinese government, which has a long record of human rights violations, and isn't exactly shy about stalking its citizens. So if you're not in China, why does this matter? It matters because we're starting to see a number of Western tech companies attempt to replicate super apps like WeChat. For the companies, it's incredibly powerful. And for you and me, it's a convenient and even transformative technology. But of course, it could also be problematic. Concentrating so much data in so few hands could lay the groundwork for an Orwellian world where companies and governments can track every single movement you make.
I wanted that to be a starting point for us because a couple of things. One, this is an interactive conversation. I know that there's rhetorical questions we try to ask and so forth, but with those who I know that are in the room, there's questions to come from. And I do have a challenge I'd like to give to you in the process of our discussion today, and that's going to require an engagement from you all. The other is that technology is already in the room of things that are related to how this can affect our lives. For instance, that little ball there is 360. We're broadcasting live right now. It's privately controlled. Nobody's seeing it right now. And it'll be something that will be made available to you. That little thinky thing over there on that stem over there with the red light on it, that's recording the entire presentation today. And that also is going to go over and be on the website link that you'll be getting at the end, so you can watch it either from the 360 perspective if you like, that perspective, which I can control how fast it zooms and all that cool fun stuff. But that, and also I did this presentation as a webinar format. So as many tangents and rabbit holes as we may go down, there was a structured presentation originally created for this process. That link will also be available there for you to go through, plus all the links we're talking about, plus also some helpful calculators, meta search revenue calculators, if that comes up, whatever have you, calendar listings and guides and templates. There's a bunch of stuff that's on the link that will be shared at the end of the presentation. So all means, I know you'll take your own notes anyway, but with this in mind, that's kind of the things that will help you kind of refresh this, because it is such a dense amount of conversation we're about to have that it's going to get kind of like, okay, good, we're done. So with that, I'm going to kind of skip down. We're going to hit some slides, and then we're going to jump out of it. It depends on where some of the conversations go. I want to make this point that M, of course, is for marketing. What I was saying earlier, marketing and revenue management literally have to become into a single entity for the success for you to continue forward. Now, I don't mind using this because I actually gave them the idea, which was cool. This is from Ideas. And I equated revenue management as if you're trying to drive a car with just the rearview mirror. And I apologize if I'm standing in front of you.
No, you're totally
okay. You can see where you've been, you can actually see where you're at, but you can't see where you're going. Even though you're very familiar with the terrain and the direction where you want to end up at, thinking about driving your car in traffic without looking forward and knowing when to turn and where, you're probably fraught with the opportunity of hitting something. Revenue management fundamentally is based on historical data. There is a tremendous amount of math associated with predictive analytics, trend analysis, and so forth that can give you a great foresight as to what you think, and you have some information about your forward intent of your guess. But you don't have a clear picture earlier than what you're being presented as data that's already come to a transition point. Marketing is your forward sight. It uses what you know where you've been, where you are, and combines it to where you need to go with an awareness of what changes are happening in front of you so you can adjust appropriately. This is a little graphic off their website, that's why I don't mind stealing it. Okay. What are we trying to do? This, I'm not going to, I hate when somebody tries to read a slide ahead of you, so just read. It's basically to surmise, we're in the best industry at the best time to be in the industry. Because fundamentally, everybody's perceptions has changed. The white picket fence suburban home with the family and the family nearby has shifted. It's now experience driven. And this isn't just to say, oh, millennials, which I hate the term because it's not a defined character, it's a representation of an age set. And that's not indicative of personalities and individualities, which we'll go down that rabbit hole a little later. But rather, everybody is now thinking, I want to enjoy life. And I don't necessarily have to have that rooted by owning a persona of what that is. I want to go see things, do things. We're the travel industry. We are the provider of things that people are wanting to do. So in that sense, this is what our world is now. Now, I know this is contrary to what most presentations are like. For those with iPhones, and if you have an Android, please look over next door to somebody who has an iPhone. I should put I said this last presentation, I should put the Android one up there too. Follow this prescription. Take out your iPhone, go over to your settings button, tab your app, and follow the process pretty quickly. Some of you may have shut this off, which is not a bad thing to do, although we'll tell you why that isn't a complete answer. But go in and hit your settings, go to privacy, then hit your location services. Then scroll all the way down, which is a bit of a scroll, to system services. Then from there, hit frequent locations, scroll all the way down to history. And whoever gets there first, let me know what you see. And if you, like I said, have an Android, see if somebody has an iPhone by. Although after she sees what's there, she may not want you to see what it is. Anybody get there yet? Yes, what do you see?
My house, some places in Charlotte, my parents' house.
Mm-hmm. And any numbers to it?
Charleston. Huh?
Any numbers on it?
Of how many times?
No, that's the time you were there. How much time you spent there? Now, as invasive this is, and obviously this is not new news, okay? You all know that phones track location services because you're asked that question all the time when you use an app. Do you mind if we use your location? Sure, because you want it to work for you. One of the reasons why I want to show the Chinese video ahead was because that's the way it begins to encroach into your life. You are surrendering your personal data to the benefit of your convenience. As a matter of fact, most, and I'm not going to quote a stat that I'm just going to make up, but most people are willing to surrender that information to improve the personalization experience of their apps. Now you can shut this function off, and it will limit some of the functionalities of your apps, but it doesn't shut off the data that's being collected by you. Now this is innocuous data, meaning that yes, Apple has this, or Android, Google has this, and they use it for their own means, and they use it for a lot of things. But it is not near as scary as what the platform is going to talk about, primarily Facebook today, knows and uses about you. And I'm going to show you how to use that with your revenue strategy in collusion with your management team, or marketing team. Okay? So, this is revenue management's world. And it's not meant to be read, it's meant to just display awe and wonder. Like, oh, I wonder why we did this. This is the categorization of our guests. This is how we see our guests. You have your transient, your group, right? That's top level there, transient group. You got your GDS, you got all this other stuff here, you have your categorizations. You have Smurf. When was the last time a guest came up to your front desk and said, hi, your Smurf business? Yes, of course, they were small and blue. But why do we do this? Why do we categorize people? Functionality-wise. And this is really an open-ended question. Why do we do this?
Work on setting strategies, knowing who's coming, which
Similarities create efficiencies, just as much as humans by nature stereotype. I see somebody, I quickly try to figure out something about them. Okay, and then I try to relate that to how I'm going to relate to them. Same true in business. I can't deal with 40 individuals, but I can deal with a 40-person group that came in from a fraternal organization, because I then can categorize them as to what it is that they need for their business with me. What are their needs associated with the type of business that they represent? So we do this, but our guests are actually, like all of us, we're individually nuanced as to what we're interested in. Now, translating that to the digital world, that's putting them to a website and making them struggle through all the variations we think they need to understand from us to find the information that's interesting to them to make a decision to purchase with us. So we're kind of putting them through a meat grinder that just doesn't work anymore. Talk a little bit more about those. So, this is how we tend to see our engagement and relationship with our guests. Pretty straightforward. We try to simplify it. There's the, we're trying to get them. There's the, they're almost here, and they're gone. We base our marketing strategies on that well, historically. The idea is not to do that anymore. This, without reading it, is the transition between marketing and revenue management. This is the methodology by type that the dialogue has to be created. This is the scary slide for me because any one of these things we can spend the rest of the day talking about. Because if you want to talk about analysis, you get two data geek heads together, like revenue management and marketing people that are in their space, and you will blow through 4 or 5 hours of dialogue just because you start talking about interrelationships of data sources. It's on and on and on. So again, it's in the deck to revert back to because this could be a good benchmark to know where to reach out to your alternative, your marketing person, or your digital marketing person, and say, let's talk about forecasting. How do you as a marketer forecast? And then start creating collaboration. We'll give some particular examples about most of these anyway. Okay. This is a fake timeline. Means nothing other than to show you relationships of data that you as revenue managers know versus data that's associated with marketing. In your world, you know your booking window, so when you acquire, you know the stay date, you know the length of stay and the departure. That data is used by you extensively. Length of stays, booking windows, rate demand per day. This area over here, this research period, is the predication to all that, and that's the land of marketing. Intent, interest. I hate the term funnel, but symbolically it truly means from large to small. It's from a general potential interest to specific acquisition. In practice, it doesn't exist because we don't do a straight line. Water goes down a funnel and then a little bit comes out the bottom based upon which foot on the top. We don't do the internet in a line. It's a global thing. And anybody that has an Amazon Prime account knows what I'm talking about. How did I look for this and end up buying this toy on Amazon? How? If you follow the string of your browser, you'd be like, what? Anyway, we're going to talk about the blue zone a little bit more than anything else. Okay, these are two terms. Now, these should not be new terms, but if they are, we're going to explain them. And that is custom audiences of Facebook. Now, the reason why I'm harping on Facebook, this is one of many platforms. You know about Twitter, you know about Snapchat and LinkedIn and everything else, and there's different methodologies and purposes for all of them. But just like we're looking at bots and messengers and things like this, those are shiny objects. There's fundamentally what's called basic things that should be done before you start dealing with the fun stuff like, oh, let's do a bot, or let's do this. These are things that you need to understand their true potential for yielding what you as revenue managers need. Because that's the catalyst for the marketing program. Marketers can operate in a bubble, but they're going to do what they follow, not what they're led. Revenue management knows where you need to go, so they can guide marketing to know how to get their best. That's the collusion, that little driving with a rear view mirror and a front light. So, custom audiences. What are custom audiences? Custom audiences is where you take a database, and Facebook only wants emails and Facebook IDs and so on. But say you have an email database of your guests. Now, branding is a little bit more challenging. I have ways to tell you how to do that, but we'll get to those if we have the time. But any database you have of emails, whether it be from a trade show that was supplied to you, whether it was a smart business wedding group that came in, any of those email databases can be used to create a custom audience. Also, if you have a website that you have control over, you have the ability to create custom audiences from how they visit your website, and we'll mention a couple examples of those as well. But you take these emails and you give them to Facebook. Say, Facebook, how many of these emails do you recognize as users of Facebook? And Facebook will go back and say, oh, okay, you gave me 5,000 names, I recognize 3,000 of them. So now all of a sudden you have this customized. Now you've lost the individual identity of everybody. It isn't Loren Gray's email has this information. It's now Loren Gray, the digital avatar, age, demographics, where I live, all that stuff, is now accessible in the Facebook ad management campaign programs. We'll power that, there's two versions of how you use it. Now, to give you a sense of how powerful that is, think about what Facebook knows about you. Now, even if you lie to Facebook that you're an 84, alternate gender, live on the other side of the country person because you want to boof them that you're not who you are, there are so many points of engagement by using their platform that has nothing to do with what you've supplied, but with how you use the platform, what friends you have, what you like, what you share, what you comment on. What your engagement is with the platform dictates your digital avatar. So even if you try to create an incorrect environment, it's self-correcting. Okay? Now from that, they also have connected with a lot of other databases. They call them partner programs. Now all data, we talk about how data is king and all this so forth, really isn't. Data is critically important, but it's more important as to how you use it. So it's the context of the data. Now there's partnerships out there that when you do financial institution stuff, it takes your name off, but everything you do with that financial institution, it's retained, okay? That's how Experian can screw up your credit line and everything else by sharing your data that they shouldn't have shared. Equifax. It's all that data is out there, and it's now shared with Facebook. All of your medical information is anonymized, but the digital aspect of you is shared. Now, I used to make a statement 4 years ago in Facebook advertising that I could, and this is just picking the ironicness of this, a one-armed Hindu in Amish country looking for Tex-Mex food. And I could create an ad campaign in Facebook, and I would actually have an audience of that. And it's like, wow, this is crazy. How you flip to that. I can now add to that statement that has two daughters, one of which goes to the University of Pennsylvania, that they all own, they've been in a home for at least 3 years that's worth $1 million, and the second daughter drives a BMW, and I still have an audience. We'll show you how you can use that. The real power and leverage of custom audiences is the incorporation of it into what's called lookalike audiences. Now, it used to be, for those far enough along in the tooth, I guess, years back, American Express used to knock on your door and say, hey, we at American Express will make you a lookalike audience of everybody that has used American Express card at your hotel. And we'll send an email that you want to send them, cost you $50,000, and that is not an exaggeration. We'll send them an email, whatever offer you want to make, of those who not only stayed at your hotel, but are just like them demographically. You can do it for free, minus the advertising cost. You can create lookalike audiences in Facebook. And this, you can actually say, hey Facebook, of the custom audience I gave you, my previous guest, let's say, how many of those in North America are within 99% the same? Up to 55,000 different points of data. And Facebook will come back and say 2.8 million, or 3.1 million, or whatever it is. Those people are 99%, according to all the data they're extracting, similar to the very people that already used your product. Now that's handy, but not all of them are in the same areas that these people were located and what have you. So now the extra filtering capability of Facebook kicks in, because you have geographic proximity, the feeder markets for revenue managers, where they're coming from. Seasonality, time of year, what you base those people on. So now you can tailor messaging by the demographic information that you know is your optimum guest walking the door. By a show of hands, maybe you may not want to say this, how many of you created your persona of whom your guest is through your business cycles of your hotel? Where this is my winter guest, this is my race guest, okay, this is my off-season guest, this is family, 2.5 kids. I'm not see the little half kid, but he's there. 3-day stay, 45 years old, income of 80,000, drives a medium-sized car, lives within approximately 250 miles. It's a fundamental marketing process. Your marketer should know that. Your digital marketer may not know, but they can get you the information because Facebook provides wonderful information because they want you to spend money with them called insights. And they're going to show you all that type of information of people. They even have a tool to use for of who is engaging with your page. If you don't have a page, highly recommend you do it because you already have one, you may not know it, because as people check into your location, it creates an identity for your business. If you don't claim it, somebody else can run it. Done that. So, it's very helpful. All right. I'm going to give you some case examples. This one we're going to breeze pretty quickly through because there's applicability to it, but there's also, it's a different scale of income. This was a membership group. This was a private group in Longboat Key. In the logo, not the logo, I'm not sharing them. They have a private membership, $50,000 a year, $1,000 a month to be in it, no asset value. And they want to do a summer campaign. They want to do a summer membership. $5,000 a month, $500 per month for beverage. Easy answer is, well, you need to have a lot of money to do this, so let's just filter everybody that has a lot of money and we'll send them an ad. Didn't work. Well, maybe they need to be nearby. It didn't work. Maybe they need to be by our competitors. Didn't work. So then we kind of re-engineered and said, hey, how about if we look at, again, the digital avatar of the type of person that it is, what do they like doing? Well, they like private jets, they like fancy cars, well, so we did all these different ad campaigns. Turns out, people that drive BMWs love this offer. Because we spent that much and made that much. It's in a presentation because it was that big. But yes, let's give you another one that's more practical at home. Had a hotel, lost 62% of its occupancy, 14 days out from a group that dropped. It was a tragedy that created the drop. They didn't want to exercise the attrition clause because it was a repeat annual group. You weren't want to come back, and besides, it was a tragedy that created this. So I am not going to go over and answer this question for you. What, as revenue managers, are your options? You're 2 weeks out and you lost 62% of your Friday, Saturday night business. What are your choices?
Determine what your audience is, make up your customers.
Okay, good start.
Lay out Facebook.
Yeah. See, you know where this is going to end. What else? What do you do? What do you do? Promotions, but where? How? What are you offering? What are you offering? Same rate? Higher rate? Probably, I'll creep in it a little bit, you're going to drop your rate. And you're going to see what residual demand is to market. And you're probably going to lose money on the table because the people that did buy at the regular rate now see the promoted rate, and you put money back on the table because they're going to rebook with the lower rate. Any other alternatives? Yeah, some interesting ones for different groups, so you know where this was going with Facebook. Okay, to go back to our custom audience discussion, what I did was we took the people that were on the books for those 2 days that we lost. Those were already booked for those 2 days, and we made a custom audience out of it. Okay? Then we took everybody that was within a 150-mile radius. How could we do that? Because zip codes were on their folios. Why 150 miles? 2.5-hour drive. Usually about the distance that people want to go for a short-term opportunity. Flights are out of the window, the choice because we're already past the 21-day window. People aren't going to pay super high flight rates just to get a lower hotel rate. We don't want to talk to somebody on the other side of the country that can't take advantage of the short-term opportunity. Okay? And then we took the list of people that were here the same time last year. Why? Because if they had a reason to be here last year, including the group people, mind you, they might have a reason to be here this year. Okay? So we put all three of those together, but the list of people that were on the books already, we made a negative list. Meaning what we were about to do, they weren't about to see. And what we did was we took the group rate, okay, and gave it to the offer we did on Facebook with those custom audiences. We tailored it to it. What ended up happening, we sold out. Does it happen all the time? No. That's why it's in the presentation. But the idea is not so much, when you're looking for a car, you listen to the car ads. When you're not looking for a car, there's just white noise. It's the time to get up from the chair if it's on TV and you go over there, because you're not in that mindset, that market set. Google calls this micro moments. I wasn't looking for a new tire in the car, but now that I have a flat tire, I'm looking for a new tire. Micro moment. Refrigerator diving, refrigerator, or repair, whatever, micro moment. I wasn't thinking about going this weekend, but you put something in front of me and I know the product and I know the place and I'm in the proximity, micro moment. I border to say that you can create demand, although we know theoretically that's not true, but there's an argument for both sides of that conversation. You can inspire demand where there may not have been demand because it wasn't identified at the time that you were first evaluating. So basically all old ideas can be new ideas if you just find the right context to present them. Okay, a couple more examples. This one, meeting initiative. Now, I'll show you what the ad was. I had the privilege of being asked to focus on this goes back a few years. And the company I was working for, I lived in Florida at the time, but traffic to get to this was at the Diplomat in Florida, was just heck, because I was an 8 o'clock presenter. And so I said, maybe I'll just stay at the hotel that night. So I call up, $4.99. Okay, no, the company's not going to pay for me to be down there for $500 a night. But the company had a hotel just up the road. So I call them up, hoping they're not sold out, because what is the rule? You can't displace revenue from your own hotel. I'm like, hey, you guys aren't sold out yet, right? It's like, what do you mean sold out? Oh, there's a conference down the road. Like, what conference? You guys do reader rooms, right? Anyway, they didn't. They were in some 60-ish percentile occupancy, whatever, and they were asking 189 or something. So what's your rack? 390. Good, let's do that. So I did this ad, and it was like, hey, do this, do that. And I focused it on everyone that liked Focusrite and all the lead sponsorships. Why? Well, pretty much, when you work for a company, you tend to follow it on Facebook. And Focusrite, if you're going to an event, you kind of check on the Facebook page and see what they're saying and what they're doing, so you're following that page. And for companies that are sponsoring, usually all the employers are making sure their staff are connected with it if they're not going to show up. And so I had a captivated audience. So people that I had a high probability were going to actually attend it. Ended up, we sold out that whole week and got a bunch of thousands of followers more on top of it. And then we're like, wow, that was lightning. That's amazing. We did that. 2 years later, when it came back, did it again. 2 years later, did it again. It was like a big red button. We just kept hitting it all the time. All right. This is a little more pragmatic, going to the food and beverage genre. And that is, we had a restaurant that had recently done renovations, a few million reservations, beautiful restaurant, been established for over 30 years, well established in the market. Right on the beach, awesome in Florida. But their Friday night business was going down. Now, I used to own restaurants, and it's a very real circumstance when you have to cut servers because you don't have enough people there. You have to start cutting cook crews and everything else. Restaurants have a very small ecosystem. Now, in this market, there were 71 restaurants you could walk to once you got there. It was a very dense downtown market. So the currency of that market was valet parking. If you parked, that's what you stayed at, and you went to all these different things. Now, the reason their business was going down is there's so many new restaurants to market that this was the old established one. Even though it was recently renovated, it was, hey, we know about it. It's fine, we know that place. So old school marketing with new school. Old school was, before cell phones and everything else, the best way to get your bar or restaurant busier and happier on a Friday was to make sure you had a lot of young, single females. Because the young, single guys found out where they were. Now, back then, you would, when you say, hey, I'm going to meet you at such and such for a place, you had to wait for everybody to show up before you could leave and go to another place, because you didn't have the cell phones to tell everybody that you just went to another place until they got there. Nowadays, people can walk into your restaurant, see if you're busy, click a picture on Snapchat, and you just lost 50 people and you don't know why. Because it's dead and this isn't worth it. Using it to your advantage. So, what we did was we created posts, several posts, one for each year and age group, of everybody that was 24 to 34 female, indicated they're single, we didn't want to create problems at home. They like live music, and they were located within 5 miles of the restaurant. It's called proximity marketing. Facebook is deadly with this. I mean, I'll give you some interesting examples in a moment too with this. We posted at 5 o'clock on Friday because it's kind of a spontaneous decision process. What are you going to do? I don't know. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I don't know. Let's go to such and such. Just talking. Post up saying, hey, show this post to valet and get free valet parking. Well, parking lot had 150 car spots. 5:45, we took the post down because parking was full. Of 24 to 34 single females that had free parking for the evening. So we thought, okay, we might lose them, so we're going to have to post again. So a little bit before, at 9 o'clock, before the live music started, we were going to post the same post again to get a refill of the people we thought would not be there anymore. Turns out we just had to give away free drinks. Why? Because everybody was there. Because the guys showed up, because the girls were there, the place was jammed, and people were having fun. Why go someplace else? This place is pretty great. Yeah, Boston, you're going to be great. So that in itself is proximity marketing. That's how the effective power of what Facebook can do. Now, on a different note to this, I had a hotel that was around an airport. It was the newest hotel around an airport. And so was the new kid on the block. Now, this airport was located in Canada and it had a notorious cancellation delay schedule because during wintertime, it just got hammered. And so a lot of times we were stuck at this airport. And so that's why there's so many airport hotels. Because you don't want to go trudging through the snow. So there's all the shuttle buses and so forth. So we put a fence around the airport and triggered it by keywords. Stuck, canceled, delayed, whatever. We had 25 different words. And as soon as that happened, they got a post from us. Hey, stuck at blah, blah, hotel at the airport, go to gate 5, look for our shuttle. There in 10 minutes, get 10% off our best available rate. So all of a sudden, these shuttles that had been always there waiting for people to just pile in and have a line waiting for the next time they come back, are watching everybody pile into our shuttle. And they're empty. And they're wondering, why is everybody going to our shuttle? Because they had a little thing to watch out front. Hey, I got 10% off for your best rate, right? Yeah, sure you do. Instant on the map. That's proximity marketing. It's defining your area and your relationship with the market in that ZMOD. Oh, I didn't mention ZMOD. Google has this term called ZMOD. And it's almost like kind of a cult-like following. Zero moment of transaction or translation, whatever you want to use the term at the last T for, but it's that moment when people decide when they're going to actually purchase what it is you're talking about. When do they make that action? Now we translate that in our web development as, oh, there's a button for book or reserve now or learn more. That's the answer to those things. But that just doesn't happen because we're asking them to do it. It's because at what point did they get enough information that they made that choice to make that acquisition? Oh, and one of the other ways of using proximity, if you know you have a hotel competitor in the market that has bad responses and bad reviews, that you know that people have said this place is horrible, you can fence them, and then whenever somebody says something bad, you can go over and say, hey, next time you're in Charlotte, say us. We don't have those problems. That works really well, actually. Okay. I want to talk a little bit on the tech geek side so that you as revenue managers understand that there are ways that the information that's being used by marketing can be distorted. Now, a few years back, marketers for online used to use keywords. What words were people using to determine to find your website? And then Google took all that away, unless you were giving them money to do ads, and they still give keywords. And what they gave us in replacement was called attribution modeling. Now, as revenue managers, you can use attribution modeling. As marketers, this is a gold mine of information that's only beginning to be realized why Google gave this to us instead of keywords. Let me explain a little bit of this, what these colors are, because you can't really what's said on them. Google has said, according to your direct channel, this is the process that people have used at the being ranked by the highest conversion that they're giving you to generate revenue for you. So here they went to, you can see here, social network, and you got a lot of bookings from it in this example. Then it was from social booking to direct, which was your website, and then to paid and so forth. There's different combinations to this. And at first people looked like, great, it's a great reporting tool. Thanks, Google. It took away my methodology for marketing and gave me something that would tell me what I used to do, but not what I can use. Turns out, Google being the one that giveth and taketh away, gave us an amazing tool. Because we can track all of these steps processed now. We know by analytics what our website engagement is, our direct channel. We know on social, the engagement of our social postings. We know for our paid campaigns what they're engaging with. So when we see these strings of correlations of attribution, it's not about generating more volume to them. It's about optimizing the volume that's being generated by them. Not to spend more money, but to spend the money you are spending wiser. Meaning if I have 1,000 people and I have a 5% click-through rate, if I improve that to 7.5%, it's just not a 2.5% increase in click-through. That's an exponential growth in conversions. It's just not a half of what I was doing in revenue. It's a 5 times more what I'm doing in revenue based on the increased conversions for the same amount of traffic. So that's a little bit of attribution strings I want to make sure we touch on, because I want to point out that there is an abuse of this as well. In this process of tracking, and this goes to the revenue management conversation of direct channel, can you by show of hands tell me what your percentage contribution of your direct channel is to your hotel? Direct channel being your website. Let's just keep it defined your website. Do you know that number? Yes.
That's what I'm working with, what I'm working with right now, about 15%.
15%. That's about a good average direct channel contribution. I've assumed clients that had 2.5%. And we found that 8% is like this remarkable thing, but there's a cap to this. There's only so much that channel, and this is where you as revenue managers can control, is the influence of all your contributions, whether it be OTA, direct channel, that what mix at what time of your business cycle is best happening. Now, what happens on some things now is that you're looking for help on your direct channel. So there's a lot of companies out there that are saying, hey, we can help you with your direct channel. Plug us into your website, and we'll help convert the people that are coming to your website. We're going to offer them value incentive for direct booking. We're going to compare them to other prices of things so that they can see that they're getting the best deal. But what they're ending up doing is they're invading this attribution string stuff. And they're only taking credit for the relationship of people that are already interested in your product and then taking credit for it. It's a little bit like if you were to think that somebody's getting out of a taxi in front of your hotel with their suitcases, walking to your front door, somebody walks in and says, hey, let me check you in. And they get credit for bringing that piece of business to you, even though we're already coming there. But be careful of this, and I say this, and I'm not trying to point fingers at any particular ones, but this is kind of the things that are happening in this wild west of technologies now, that these things are infusing themselves into our processes. Okay. This is this hotel, and this is an example of something we just spoke about. Not because they're using the softwares, and this is a branded hotel, which, again, prevents a lot of control from the property level as to all these things. But to give you an example, this little plugin on Chrome that does a great job. This is where you land on this website. There are 39 things tracking this website. 39. I don't even recognize 12 of them when I look at the whole list. And I know from representation of this hotel, I don't know if this is data that's being, yes, we talked about data value. This is data that's being taken from you and used for something else. Now, being a branded hotel, a lot of these are explainable because the brand does put layers and layers of stuff on it. This is where this is bad, and this goes back to something we want to talk about as an action item for you later in your collaboration with marketing. The speed of your website is one of the most critical components to the process of success. Which I think you pointed out in our last session, that it was what, 30-some-odd% after 5.5 seconds?
31%.
Yeah, you lose if the website loads slower than 5.5 seconds. Actually, the modicum is 7 seconds for most stuff. These things are loading at 14 and 17 seconds. And they're loading while this picture is blank. These pictures are coming along, and this stuff is loading ahead of it because the design, nobody's watching out for you. Key element of this is 10 minutes.
20.
Oh, cool. As you can tell, I tend to run over on time.
That's why I haven't spoken to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. Because I will go down the rabbit hole. All right. So be mindful of the fact that these things are carrying. Right now, Richard, you can actually throw this number because you know it. The percentage of mobile traffic compared to not mobile traffic is?
It says about 18%. So it's about 18% of traffic that's coming to your website is coming in via mobile. The rest is coming from desktop or tablet.
So internet is now mobile. Everything else is secondary. If you're not optimized for mobile, you're not optimized for the internet. And being on a desktop, if you look at your sources of whether it's desktop or mobile, you'll start seeing those numbers. And the scary part is, You see the conversions are better on desktop, even though the traffic is less. And they're worse on your mobile because of things like this. Google penalizes websites now that don't load at certain speeds, called AMP. They have a program to help you do that. They penalize you with overlays and plugins and things that maybe the consumer doesn't want.
Well, I was going to say, if you can go to Test My Site, think with Google, that will actually show you how quickly your mobile sites load. And that will actually tell you what your Google rating is, and it will give you a report that will tell you how you can optimize that. And it will also tell you where you sit within your comp set. So it will give you an actual score rating of 94% mobile friendly, but you are at the bottom of your comp set, which means that all of your other hotelier websites will be placed above you on Google.
And keep in mind that this is the dialogue that you have to have in marketing, because you can't control that. You have to rely on this channel, and you have to rely on the channel's contribution. And if you don't, or you can't, because of events like this, then you have to find a source elsewhere, which are higher cost channels like OTAs and what have you. This, we're going to quickly go by, but basically in a nutshell, everything you do has recourse to this. Google, if set up correctly in tracking, will show each page of your website as to what it contributes to your overall revenue growth. This example, just to give you the top blue line is a Facebook post. And the recommendation anytime you do a Facebook post, if you have a website that you can control, unfortunately, brown people, you're restricted in this sense, you want further content. Your post shouldn't be the only source of content. But this was the traffic that went to the website of the web page correlated to the Facebook post, which was a Halloween event. Now, obviously Halloween is a seasonal thing, it's an event-driven thing. It went, it died, it passed. But you'll see that there's little bumps along the road here. That was residual traffic that page, because nothing ever disappears on the internet, generated in traffic because it was anchored, Google used it for referencing, and because of all that, it ended up generating another $20,000+ in ancillary value of your website because the content associated with that page actually contributed to the value of your website that was used for whatever reason Google had indexed that page. So it's just not as simple, let's put an ad out there for one event. You actually have an echo, a ripple that continues on past that point. Okay, cool stuff, revenue management stuff. Tableau, who uses Tableau? Awesome platform. This was done in Tableau. What if you could know when people were looking for you for what dates and what rates they were interested in? Would that be helpful? Cool. Yes, you can. You can track everything on your website, including the dates when people were looking. So if I know where they're at, and I know what dates they were looking, then I know what the demand or the lead time would be for them. So I can target it. Rather than, what's the old adage, 50% of my marketing works, I just don't know what 50%? Here, you're seeing, okay, this is the lead time of these markets, but more specifically, what I created was a slider. And so I need business the third week of March. So I slid the slider over to the third week of March, and these all changed, and said, based on those dates, these are the geographic locations people were looking from for those dates. Now, revenue management. You know rate resistance. You know what rates you're wanting to take, how much of each rate you're wanting to take. So if you say, look, I'm looking for a $200 ADR, Boston has a 48-day lead time, but their average historical ADR has been 167. How much of that do I want? And then when do I want to tap it off? Via other ones where, wait a minute, I'm not even close to that window yet. Phoenix, they don't mind a 200 rate. And they're 118 days out, or 113 days out. Let's focus on that. Okay? Marketing talking to revenue. Now, add another layer to that. Marketers know what channels it came from. From those channels, I know my conversions. Forecasting for you has been about historical occupancies and ADRs, trendings and forecasts, demand cycles, repeat businesses, groups displacement, and you calculate out what you feel effectively by segmentation, that smart market chart we were talking about, what's going to contribute at what time, at what value, at what ADR, with what length of stay, calculates total revenue. I'm saying if you didn't touch any of that, and said what channel does it come from what geographic location, at what price they've historically paid for, what time of year they want to pay for, I can tell you, here's your top 20 contributing markets for the time slider of the week that you're talking about. This market here, by revenue total, length of stay and ADR, I can focus on and know that 26% of the business came from them on PPC. My PPC historically from that market is at 3.5%. My average cost per click is $1.25. With math, I can spend $12,287, generate $67,252, and can guarantee you 82% occupancy at an ADR of $185 over a 2.5-day stay. And I never touched your data. Add your data, and that gets crazy. Because then all of a sudden, it's not just a week that I'm interested in. It's a trend in a process. All this data is at home. You have it. Now brand, it's extracting it based on your brand relationship. What report can get this for you? And it won't be as comprehensive as having control over your direct channel like independent hotels have. But some brands, depending on how you want to pull reports, can get a lot of this data if you know how to ask the right question for it. All right. To give you this is one of my cheat sheets. And to protect the innocents. So going back to your channel contribution. Taking direct channel and not taking your 15% because it's a great percentage, but I'm going to take it a little lower. If you give me as revenue manager your revenue forecast, I'd say what's your group and what's your transient? Great. Skip group right now because it reacts differently from marketing. We're not going to try to blend it. Let's take transient. So 10% of your transient, let's say my direct channel is a 10% contribution. So 10% transient is that funky little number way up there. Okay? That's what direct channel should be contributing for your annual. Well, actually, more specifically, that was January. So I have to gen out to be at 10% contribution for direct channel, $223,000. Now, other information I got. What are my segmentations that contribute to direct channel? Like PPC, travel ads, third-party meta-search, retargeting social, and I have percentage contributions for all of those. I know what each one of those contribute to the direct channel process. I also know, historically, what my conversion value are. I get a 6-to-1, 5-to-1, 10-to-1 return ratio by month, by channel, for direct contribution. Math was pretty easy after that. My PPC for January has to gen out $156,000. At a 7-to-1 conversion, I got to spend that much money. I can make a marketing budget based on the revenue numbers you give. Inverted wise, I can also tell you when you're going to be full of because you're not going to hit the number because I can't contribute past the threshold that the channel was contributing. You can't rely upon it. The best I've ever done is 10% channel contribution for direct channel. You can only count on that. And this is where your math sense as revenue managers come into play. There's a diminished value of return that comes into this process. Because most campaigns go for the largest conversion. But to expand the contribution of that channel, like say for instance you're doing PPC, you mainly focus on your brand terminology because that's the best conversion. People are looking for your name, they're going to show up faster, right? So you get a better conversion from it. In order to expand the contribution of PPC, you have to get outside of your brand. That contribution goes down. So now instead of getting the 10-to-1 you're basing it on, it goes down to 6-to-1. Law of diminishing returns, 6-point variance. At what point does $1 turn to be $1 too much? I always ask, are you looking for top-line revenue this year because you're planning on selling the place? Looking to go over and impress an investor? Because I can make you look like a rock star, but you're going to believe at the bottom. Or are you looking for net flow through? In which case, these are your caps. If you're going to make profitability, because you don't want to go below a certain threshold, below your net profitability past EBITDA. These are functional strategy questions you and your marketing person can dialogue with. Because if your focus is top line, then you can just pump a Jesus amount of money in there. And you're always going to hit your revenue numbers. But you're not going to see it on the bottom end. That's just like a little worksheet thing. It should blend to this. You should know where this is going. Because in order for you to understand the previous slide, you have to understand what was being spent in what's categorization of it. The dialogue between marketing and revenue management is, you said we can't get this in Meta. Okay? Well, if we change this or do this, what's change this and do this mean? Can I count that Meta's going to be more than 4-to-1 in January to contribute to the monies that we are expecting it to make? What makes this different? And it might be, well, because they're doing a 2-for-1 sale, which is true. Actually, there's Meta platforms right now doing 2-for-1 sales, where they'll match funding up to a certain dollar amount. Because they're wanting this engagement at times that they want their own cash flow. They have their own math they got to figure out. Okay, for example, this is in Google. This was a high-end resort that was slouching, and so we said, hey, give us all your data for the past couple of years of all the zip of all the people that have done business with you. We pulled the zip codes. We had a heat check on Google Fusion. Yes, Fusion. Am I right with that? Is it Fusion Google? It's a name. Damn it. Anyway, it's free. And because with an F. If we could zoom down on this static picture, it would go down to the zip code, and it would show the volume of revenue that that zip code generated for that hotel. And we said, hey, this is a high-end hotel resort, so we know that income is a relevant factor associated with it. 10 minutes. I'm gonna make it. Okay, so we know the revenues, the income is a main factor to be able to stay at this resort. So let's correlate the zip codes. Hey, you just go to the Census Bureau, find out the incomes of the zip codes. So let's correlate the zip codes with income level, create a XY axis to it. Quadrant, 4-quadrant system. 2 axes, total revenue generated by zip code, income associated with that zip code. Everybody theoretically in the upper right-hand corner is doing their job. They have the income and the revenue generation associated. Everybody circled down in the lower right quadrant isn't doing the job. They have the income, they have the propensity, they're not generating. These are zip codes we've already been doing business with. We send snail mail to the zip codes. Again, the words special and discount and deal should not be discussed between revenue management and marketing. I know that's good for you guys, but they have to understand that. Marketers too often come to you and say, hey, what kind of deal, you want that, then what kind of deal can I offer? There's no deal necessary. It's targeting the market most effectively to the people most interested in what you're selling. All we did was send out snail mail to these people, and it had a 30% bump in 30 days. Why? It was a re-awareness. People get hit with stuff all the time. They forgot you were there, didn't put you in the plans, whatever. You reminded them that they should come back to your resort. Okay. Data is everywhere. Now, this is not really a clean read, but you get the lists of people coming to you from your OTAs, and there's a bajillion gibberish emails. They're temporary emails. Hopefully, you're using them within your email campaign program for pre-arrivals and so forth, and that methodology. There's still real emails in there as well. Sometimes they will put them in. This data is usable not just because you have dates associated, but you also have the rate codes that are associated with it, confirmation numbers of the people associated. You have the original core source of what those people are. And you can extract even more data in relationship to them. One cool trick for those who have independent hotels, send out a pre-arrival different to your OTAs, which you can do on every platform that handles your CRM data for your PMSs, and simply say, hey, we're really looking forward to you coming. Here's the email we have on file. Can you make sure it's the right one here? And people look and go, what the hell is that? And boom, now you have a list, now you have a custom audience, now you have a lookalike audience, boom, you got targeted marketing. Okay? Don't reinvent the wheel. Here's some methodology to consider. Airlines are smart, and aggravatingly so. They don't commit a multi-million-dollar aircraft on a leg of a flight between destinations unless they know they got the business to supply the need for it. Why try to outthink them? We use a scraping tool. Anybody familiar with scraping? It's legal. Do it with your TripAdvisor. It's really cool. If you want to get a sentiment of what people say about you, scrape the data and see the words they use. You're like, dang, I didn't know I had such bad bathrooms. This scrapes data off like Hipmunk. Hipmunk, you look and it's got this little heat chart of all the dates coming up of flights expensive, flights cheaper, flights the same, whatever have you. All that data is extractable. You can scrape it off the website with certain tools. And what I did was, revenue management-wise, what's my feeder markets? Now you may say, oh, there's hubs. It all comes from Atlanta. No, it doesn't come from Atlanta. It gets to Atlanta. What is feeding my feeder markets for flights? What am I, go to the airport and see what flights are coming in. How frequent are they coming in? What are the carriers bringing them? What's the time cycle for them? Scrape the data. If they're raising their rates, does it correlate with you raising your rates or declining your rates? Where's the correlation between the aircraft strategy, the airline strategies, to your market, your feeder markets, to your demand? And believe it or not, just when you think you figure it out, it goes backwards. We were thinking, oh, this is great, rates are going up, that means we should raise their rates because we raised them historically. No, we were dumb. To what Bonnie points out, there was times where you just yielded in reversion of what the demand was. If you really put the trend together, you were backwards when you should have been the other way. You missed opportunities because you read it wrong. A lot of times, them raising rates was a demand need. They were showing perceived value, and it wasn't because they had the demand, it was they were showing a perceived value of demand, which increased their business sales. If we followed suit, they'd have a lot more money that time. So data is everywhere that you can use, just how it is that you want to translate it to your usability. These will go very quick. Websites are going to disappear, they're going to turn into portals. There's already a major brand kind of around us that's doing this. And what that means by that is that we know so much about people now, we don't have to try to anticipate, we don't have to try to figure it out by making a big website that we hope you find what you're looking for. We're creating portals. Anybody use Gmail? When you have a hotel reservation or a flight reservation, you see a little button that says, check in and so forth. You can do it yourself. You can just go to Google and say, here's my connectivity for doing this, and people can do that to your own hotel, even if you're in an independent hotel. That data that people know, Google and everybody else, okay, is usable so that when you go to a portal, if I was talking to you on an email about how I'm going to see you in New York for business, and I go to the hotel portal, the pictures are business, the information about what I'm interested in about business and Wi-Fi and transportation and so forth in there, the offers are all business process. But if I click on something that's not business related, the information changes, images change, the content changes, the offers change, and that's dynamic. So websites are really going to be going away, and it turns into dynamic portals. Search box, and this is a fun little video that I'll show you that is about how they'll go away. I want to talk about the new and shinies on some stuff because I know we're going to run out of time if I don't go a little faster. This whole thing about bots, a little bit about what the training website was. We saw Messenger, where the WeChat moved into Messenger. Incredibly helpful, incredibly useful. AI's in there. It can create level 1 guest support issues that it can solve. I have clients that are using it. It has some level of effect, and it also has some incredible blowback of bad things that the AI did that if a human had been there, it wouldn't have been done. So there's a lot to it, but those are not those things. The block and tackle is a little bit what we brought ourselves up to now. What data do I have? What is usable? How can I interpolate it? How can I blend it with my marketing strategy to create the yieldability of the channels I'm relying upon based on their contributions for the revenue numbers that I'm targeting, but the segment of people that I'm trying to get them from. That's the key elements that you have to focus on. Big things have happened in the past year. Google and Apple decided to unlock their voice activation stuff. Now it may sound like, oh, wow, what do we do? The growth of what's happening with that is geometric, because now instead of just Apple and Google people figuring out how to use Siri and Microsoft's Cortana and everything else, you have a whole community of people that are using adaptive voice controls. 72% people said that have things like Alexa and Google Assistant and so forth at home refuse to give it up. Friend's one of them. I'm one of them. I'd like to know that I can go over and say, because I'm math challenged, what's this plus this minus this plus that, and it'll give me an answer, or a recipe of, or remind me to do this. That becomes a part of your world. How will you show up if somebody says, I want to go to New York, give me a hotel? What's the best hotel in New York? Your marketer should be able to answer that question for you. Because in technicalities, it's about snippets, rich media content, knowing where to place it, how to create it. That's the answer to the question, not a, I don't know. And not a, oh, let's go ask the agency. And be careful with agencies, I'm not trying to warn about it, because technically I'm an agency as well, is don't let them confine the answer to their spectrum of service. No agency on this planet has a full spectrum of service that can answer every question. There will always be something that's outside of their opportunity, whether it's not their own software or software that they use. You have to get a variety of sources to have more complete, just like you do in life. You don't ask one doctor, so you think the leg has to go, doc? No. You ask another doctor before they cut the leg off. All right, Amazon Echo, massive growth. When it first launched a little over 2 years ago, it had 16 functions. It has actually in the 30s now, they just don't have an official number popped up of functions. The stuff it does is crazy. Microsoft got into 3 million cars. Why? Because it's an environment that you engage with. And if you can control that engagement by talking to it, restaurants and destinations and interests, you're controlling the data to them and gives them value. Okay. This is a cute example of the virtual room of the hotels in the future. You've seen in the news where some hotels are dropping in Alexas to be convenient for you. You also saw in the news where Alexa's data was being subpoenaed because of a murder at a home. This is Wild West stuff. You put one of these things in to think that you're cute and helpful, and you're in liability zone, because whose data is that? If they interact with that data and it witnesses something like that, whose is it to control as to whether it's available or not available? Would you go into a hotel and say, hey, yeah, for security we have little cameras in your room. Okay, right? No. I don't want a little camera in my room. That's what this is. So be careful. There's things that have to grow in this world for it to mature a little bit more. Okay, search box, this is fun. This is actually a cute video where Scotty tries to talk to the mouse. That's the voice activation stuff we were talking about. Now we have, Alan Baldwin and Alexa. This is Google Assistant, which if you're not already using, it'd be fun to go and play. This is all in the presentation. I don't want to get caught with this because we are running out of time. The people that built Siri built a new app after they got 5 minutes. Actually, they built Viv. The scary part about Viv is it's a lot like Siri, except it writes its own program. You can go and say, hey Viv, is it going to be as warm next Thursday as it was 2 Thursdays ago at the Golden Gate Bridge? And Siri and anybody else goes, what? This one goes, oh, it understands what you said and writes in 0.014 milliseconds the program necessary to give an answer. Then it keeps that program and uses it if it needs to again. It writes its own program. Remember the Skynet thing? You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Skynet. Write its own program. And that's now, because they got bought by Samsung. So Bixby's coming. It's already here, but the Bixby that's in South Korea will be coming, which is the... Okay, meta-search. Wish we could spend more time. If you're not familiar with meta-search, critical component to your marketing strategy, not a volume percentage, but a critical scalpel to the process, rather than a shotgun solution. Because with Google Hotel Finder, with just too many platforms to really try to hit in a reasonable period of time, these are the influencers, especially in the mobile environment, that are the micro-moment incisions that happen, that people make actions on. And it is not this daunting, overly elongated, hard to understand, critically. That was the early stages of meta-search, where you could blow a lot of money because you know what you're doing. But anybody can get into meta-search. And more platforms are offering meta-search.
Actually, any platform offer on CPA, which is the important thing.
That's true. TripAdvisor in that space, Google in that space, Kayak in that space, and Meta's on top of Meta. Meta's even doing Meta. It's like hacking other people's hacks. It's like, what? So, a couple of things. Google Trips app seems innocuous, but the big part of this is that it's all also available offline. When you travel, nothing for those who travel internationally is that you get off the plane like, yeah, it doesn't. And now you have to get connected and everything else. This keeps it local. What it also does, it gives great suggestive content associated with what it knows about you. So you're not seeing what everybody says about the area. You're seeing about the area what Google thinks you're interested in that area. Another one of that, and this is where they crossed over. This was a big deal 2 years ago, and now it's not. Google has figured a way to transition between what you saw on your mobile versus what you're engaging with on your laptop versus what you're doing on your iPad. When I, as a marketer, had to market to you, when you saw an ad that on the mobile that I gave, and then you got on your laptop, I didn't know you had seen my mobile ad, so I sent you the same ad. Well, less value because it isn't the interest to you the same was, but I can progressively bring you through the purchase cycle by now knowing that you saw it on mobile, so I can render a different type of ad that might be in a more advanced ad based on how you engaged with my first ad. That was a huge thing. Google's figured it out. Facebook has too, we have to stay in their ecosystem. Facebook City Guides. We really came to appreciate this when we went to Honolulu. Because I was thinking, hey, not to Honolulu, I've never been to Hawaii before. And I didn't realize how many of my friends had already been to Honolulu. Because in Facebook City Guides, it's not like TripAdvisor that it's everybody's responses. It's everybody that's your friends or people you're associated with on Facebook as to whether they've been there, what they did, what pictures they shared, what they ate, what they liked about things, what they didn't like about things. Incredible, powerful influence as to what I chose, because I'm like, hey, that restaurant's right here. Oh, well, if Tim liked it, and he and I kind of eat in the same places, I'll probably like it. Big difference than just general rankings and comments from people. So that's something that influences how people engage. This aspect about, not so much meta search. Anybody hear about Facebook DAT programs? DAT, Dynamic Ads for Travel? Anybody ever see an ad that says, blah, 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 rate starting at $99, click here. And you click, there's not a $99 rate anywhere. It's big, pissed me off. You're like, okay, boom, I'm out of here. This is Facebook's dynamic ads. There's technology behind it as how it connects with you, but trust me that all your property management systems and the channel managers can connect to this process. All of this information is dynamic. Everything about it is what's known about you in the environment that you're looking at. So when this ad shows up in Facebook, it knows already if you're a member. It knows the brand you're interested in. It knows the area that you're interested in. And even knows a bit about your rate preferences and so forth. But this rate is actually available with this much inventory, or thereabouts, at the time if you were to click it. So when you click it, you actually can book that. And then even the picture can be tailor. Reviews, if there's a level of reviews that you react to or engage with, that actually would be a deciding factor for this. So all of this, now imagine the effectiveness of that kind of ad, because it's getting in front of somebody, that micro moment. You know they're interested in it, all the information is related to them, it's at a price point that they're interested in, the inventory that's available, the location of the brand, all of that is now controllable in an ad, dynamically. Multiply times thousands of times as you go through this. So, that's a conversation I have with the marketing team. Real quickly, in 2011, there was a chart that was put together by Martech of the top 150 companies in the digital marketing space. You can even see Google somewhere in there. That was 2011. It's 2017. It's called the Martech 5000 now. 6 years. The growth. You can't even, I mean, to see this, you have to zoom in and see all these different things. Over 5,000 businesses operate in this ecosystem. Not all of them hospitality based by any stretch, but all of them have an influence and a capability within our space for digital marketing. This is the speed of growth that you're looking at, that marketing is dealing with. Whom do you use for what, and how good are they compared to somebody else? And right afterwards, there's something else that comes up that may be newer or different. These are the conversations that you have to have with your marketing team. Won't have a chance to play with this, but it'll scare you. Anybody familiar with Watson? They played on Jeopardy and they won and all that. The computer? Well, this is his sister Lucy. This is a marketing platform built on Watson that you say, hey Lucy, I need business on March 3rd. What should I do? Should advertise this much money on this platform with this offer for this rate in these locations at this time. I'm not making it up. It works. As when you play the video, she actually has this disembodied voice. You're like, that's scary. But it works. It's already in place. Keep in mind, garbage in, garbage out with computers. We put wrong data or data that's not. But it can take structured and unstructured data. It can take what you have in spreadsheets as well as sentiments and slap it together and come up with these terms. Okay. We're making it. Okay. 360 you know about. Okay, virtual reality. Not a real impact player for us, but augmented reality, big deal. Augmented reality is, you saw Apple's new version, OS 11. Big deal about it is the processor is stronger than any computer we have in this room right now, in a phone. And it can do augmented reality. What's about augmented reality? The engagement of what you're going to be doing. Wearables, the big thing was the watches now have their own connectivity. That's only going to continue to grow. The phone is going to go away. They anticipate we won't be carrying phones in 3 years. Why? Because we're aware of what we need, engage with it the way we want to know what we want to see and interact with. And augmented reality is a huge part of that process. Being able to look at a hotel, see rates, restaurant, menu, occupancy, availability, and just say, yeah, I want to stay there. And by the time you walk in the door, you've already checked them in and they just walk up to their room. So, this is Facebook Live. Do you go do Facebook Live or seen Facebook Live? Okay. Do you know how to look at Facebook around the world? Facebook.com/live. Gives you a global map, and if you roll over one of the little dots, it'll show you what's going on at the time. And also put the little spaghetti lines to show how many people are watching you. The thing is, you can catch up with more what's going on this way than even trying to watch traditional media. The bad part is what's real, what's not. And when I did this one time, we brought some. Yeah. Sometimes when you hit on the buttons, it's not filtered. Where were we did that? Where did we do that? New York City.
And you were
Wonderful.
hovering over the Caribbean.
Yes, I was hovering over the Caribbean to show how cool was everything popped up until pornography came up, live action. And I didn't see it. I rolled over, right? And I'm talking, and that's why it's a static frame now. All right. The one video you did see, which was about WeChat, this one is thought-provoking, and that is the real influence of what Facebook, why Facebook and Google are offering the internet around the world. It fundamentally changes politics, it fundamentally changes business, because it circumnavigates all of it. All of this stuff, this whole deck, presentations, all that stuff, will be on that link. And again, we didn't get to do the challenge this time, and I apologize that we didn't get to do that. I usually challenge the group, give me your knowledge revenue management problem, and we'll take 5 minutes and we'll collect the talent in the room and the dialogue. We'll actually see how the relationship between marketing answers and revenue problems can get solved. Because I'll ask, you answer, you ask, I answer, and you actually create a solution to a problem that you actually have, like 2 weeks out or something. Didn't get to that because, again, too many slides, but we are done. That's the last slide. Thank you.